All right. So this is going to be a quick overview of your application nurture emails because you're literally going to get majority of this either from your content or your training. And so I just kind of want to show you a little bit how this works. And so everything in this funnel is designed to move people forward, right? And not everyone is going to necessarily come from your DMs. We could just maybe send this to your email list and they just go straight into the opt-in page. And so the lead magnet emails will fire off because the goal of them is to move them along by themselves in the funnel, right? That's why all of the funnel, let me just get my little pen here, why the funnel direction is moving this way. So the lead magnet or the application nurture series gets them to fill out this application, or I'm sorry, back it up, to fill out this application, right? Or if they haven't watched the training, pointing them back to the training, but more than likely they're going to have watched the training. And so we want to just move them forward in the application process. So of course, when they apply, this will stop because this has done its job and now they're here at this section, okay? So let's just break down what these emails look like. Okay, so just kind of show you a workflow. Key tips is make sure your branding is cohesive in your emails as well. So there has to be that cohesive branding that we've come up with in your funnel. You want to continue that in your emails. Inside of your first email, I like to maybe include a picture or a video so that you stand out, because a lot of times people do not remember what they opted into and they're like, what am I even doing here? So I like to include that so they just kind of remember. And you can see there's a little video here where I break down how I use Hippo video for my opt-in emails. And I just record like a 1 minute, 30-second video or something like that. And then it has like a Giphy and they can click it and then it can go, it goes like to this video that plays for them that just basically repeats what I say in the opt-in message, but it's just something so different. And then of course, write in your personality and voice, include GIFs if you do that. Continue to share stories, and then alternate between branded emails and simple text. So what I mean by that is that some emails, just make sure you really have that cohesive, clean branding. And then some emails, I literally just say, hey, reply to this if you have a question. And it's just simple text. When it comes to the subject lines, your open rates are going to be higher because obviously like they are wanting to learn about this lead magnet, but still use SendCheckIt to test your subject lines. When I use SendCheckIt, if my average, let's say I have 7,000 people on my email list. If my average open rate is 20%, when I use SendCheckIt, it'll jump to 40%. So you want to keep this as high as possible. One of the benefits they say is include the first name tag in the subject line, keep all the text lowercase, even like the letter I, ask questions if possible, and then use a curiosity headline based on the subject of the email. So whatever the email is about, you can create that curiosity headline to entice them in. So the nurture part, the purpose of this series, again, is like a secondary backup to move them to the application. You're going to be basically reiterating what you said in the training. And this is where all of your middle of the funnel content comes into play. Because if they are not in the DMs, if they're not necessarily there yet, like the emails is like that secondary backup. And then more than likely, you can repurpose some of your content that you have, like maybe you created in your feed or things you said on your launches. So welcome email, send it instantly. Have whatever, make sure you do not just copy these templates. Do not just copy these prompts. Use it in your voice. Look at the principle of like what I'm saying. This is just an email to send your freebie link. You don't really need to say much. It's a quick hello, reminder of what they got in that free, what they're getting in this freebie. So they remember, oh yeah, duh, this is what I signed up for. And then a link. That's it. Now, I do like to kind of add this for them to add to your contact list or VIP list. This will help with spam. And then this really helps like warm up the inbox where if they just reply, and then you can reply back and it just builds up your email health. And then especially with this being application funnel and a higher ticket item, it just starts to build that human to human connection and relationships. And it's also nice to see like a bunch of people reply and you're like, oh, that's cool. So email 2, the purpose of email 2 is to address beliefs around the journey. So you can see your slides around your money content. So that in that section in your training doc, your money content. And then if you have case studies, then you apply it. So you can simply follow that. And then this one is just kind of like inviting them to reply, but going back and watching the training. And so, yeah, 1 to 2 days later. Now you can be flexible with this timeline. It can go, 2 weeks up to 30 days, depending on the price of the item. You also have your DM funnel workflow if people are coming through the DMs. So you just gauge this, okay? It's like no perfect thing, but you want to keep it tight. But if like, for example, if your focusing on your traffic coming through the DMs, and you already know that you have a tight 7-day funnel here. So maybe you can extend it for 2 weeks or 30 days, because you're like, okay, if they don't like, come here to this point, then I want to move them forward. Or if you're just like straight up coming to the opt-in page because you're not doing the IGDMs stuff yet, then you can kind of make the timeline a little bit tighter. So that's kind of like strategically how I think about it. So this third email is about the framework, and this is where you can use the 2 key mistakes, or either if you have the 2 key mistakes where you talk about how your offer is different, if you don't have that in your presentation, then you can do just like beliefs around the content section. So like when you go into your content and you're breaking down the beliefs, you can use one of those 2 topics. Subject line, you can go into it. And then this is kind of where you start to apply, encourage them to apply. But this is also where the DM conversation will pick up as well. So this one is around any self-beliefs. This is where you can pull in the introduction slide. I believe it's like the first slides where you're kind of saying like, you're here, you're this, if you want to do this, and these are the things that you're doing. And it's like why it's not working. Okay. And then you address that here, and then you go into your framework. And then at this part, you're going to do a quick summary of your framework and how it gets them to their desire. And then the consequence of not using this, which is when you've done training 2, you will be able to make that statement here. Okay. Then email 5 is around any self-beliefs. You can again pull this from the introduction slide. And this is kind of where, or introduction section actually is where I meant to say, did I say slides in these? I meant to say section. Fix that. Quick. Yeah, okay. Email 5. Okay. So you're just going to summarize your big vision, your heart on why they can do it too, getting them to that desire. State your tagline again, state your program name, and then you can decide what to call out here. But this is again really just speaking to that person that does not want a quick fix. You probably have a lot of these in your empowerment slides when you're talking about the person that like is doing the thing. But most importantly, you're talking about like they're just tired of not getting these results. They're ready for it. They do need this accountability and support, because this is what you get in a done with you coaching program. They are wanting actually the real deal. And then like, can you realistically, like, this is how much it's going to like work it's going to take. Right. Because you're looking for people who are going to do the work. So if they see this and they don't want to do it, then that's just not your person right now. And then you can address these. You can have people be repelled, because again, you don't want the wrong people, because this is a live program that you actually have to do work with them. So then here's the steps, and then application. Okay. And then email 6 is you have case studies of like the complete success story. This is kind of just like a fun thing. You don't actually have to include this, but if you've seen these call outs, I'm looking for this person to get this desire, is this you? And then, you go into that. And then finally, by email 7, this is normally a plain text email. This can also be a plain text email, but you're just like, hey, it's kind of like you have sent them like a personal reply. Like, how was your experience inside of this training? Like, if you have any questions on, bottlenecks, whatever, hit reply and let me know, because then sometimes there's that element of maybe the email back and forth and saying, hey, can we get in the DMs and talk about this? Okay. And that is it. So again, you're just reiterating what you talked about inside of your training, but these are your middle of funnel topics. So it's not just like random things that you're saying. It's actually stuff that is supposed to move them continuously mentally, right, through this journey and moving them along to the funnel, right? Because when you get to this application part and in the DM, then you have the DM prompts that move them to the funnel, through the funnel. They get to the sales page and like they're still not buying, and you've already taken them through the DM prompts, and the last resort is the abandoned cart. If that doesn't work, then again, there's intelligent people, they'll come back when they're ready, and then you can move forward to like your secondary strategy. So these are things that you put in autopilot. But the point is that it's not just like, oh, let me just fill in these random lead magnet scripts. It's no, it has to be a part of the growth, nurture, convert cycle. It has to be a part of the middle of funnel buyer sales psychology that moves them intelligently and empowers them to the finish line. Okay. Or it repels people that are just not a good fit. So this is the application acceptance email. So after they apply, this application right here, email fires off. And this is a great place to add that sort of hippo video as well, because again, as much human touch as you want as possible, and make yourself stand out. So it's not just like, oh, here's a generic little email. Name of the program, pick whatever subject line you like. And then you can say whatever you want in this. You're just basically saying that we got your application. You're reminding them what the application is about, but you're most importantly saying, hey, like for real, I need to make sure you're a good fit. Because if you're not a good fit and I can't help you, either I'm going to point you in the right direction, right? Which is like essentially then where you send them to the downsell, but you're not telling them that. But like, if I can't help you, I'm not going to just push you to my sales page. And then while they wait, they can also start another conversation here, another human touch here. I'd love to know more about like where you're at with like whatever questions you put inside of it. And you can start the conversation here as well, another touch point, as well as then taking it back to the DM. So like they can reply. And if you've already talking to them in the DMs, and you're like, hey, because maybe you're talking to them in the DMs because of like this, because they got the initial mini training. And so you can say, hey, like you can reply in their DMs like, hey, so I just saw your email, or you can reply to this email and say, hey, you know what, since we're already chatting in the DMs, I'm gonna hit you back over there and reply. Or if you haven't been chatting in the DMs just yet, and this is the application part that gets to the DM conversation, this is another place where you can engage in the conversation and then move it to the DMs. But again, these are many different, like super easy touch points where you can have casual conversation, right? And not condense it and having to be pushed to only sales calls, right? Because like just imagine you have 100 people that are like in this pipeline. That's like 100 people like waiting to get on a call. That's why people have to build out sales teams, because like literally you don't have 100 hours a week, but you can talk to 100 people randomly via email responses. You block out a time, because if you're like, oh my gosh, I literally have like 20 emails to just respond to, boop, block out a time to do that. Or, oh my gosh, I have, 30 people that just need like DM responses. You can block out a time to do that. That's like in a vibe. So it's like an hour to knock out 30 people. That's like 30x your results. You see what I'm saying? So these are super, super potent and super powerful. So that is it for the Nurture series. And you will see the next one, which is your abandoned cart.